What is up, guys? HalluNASTY here. Today I am doing the Minors Season 5 Week 0 Power Rankings with my good pal Horus. I'm stepping in this week for Dallas. I will not be here for Minors Power Rankings every week probably, and we're just going to discuss the drafts. So
yeah, what's going on, guys? You got Horus here. Yeah, Dallas will probably be here next week, but for right now, Hallu and I are just going to ride through this, okay? So Hallu can kick it off with his number 16 team.
Okay, for number 16, Minors Season 5, I have Cloud Envy. I actually do like Cloud Envy's team. He has the Mega Lopunny, LATLAS, Scizor, Tapu Bulu most notably. Even the Porygon Z, and I'm a big fan of Charizard. The only question mark I have surrounding Cloud and why I have him so low is that I don't know if he's going to be able to play to his strengths well enough to pick up wins, right? There are no pushovers in the Minors this season. But that being said, you're going to have to play and prep extremely well, nearly perfect games, every single game if you want to win. And I don't know. I have a lot of question marks surrounding Cloud if he's going to be able to do that, play to his strength. Because other teams, just because you have threats doesn't mean other teams aren't going to prep for him, right? I don't know how well he's going to be able to use these threats. Where do you have Horus?
Okay, so my rankings are solely based off the draft instead of the actual player based on it. And based off that, I ended up actually putting Cloud Envy at number 1. Because I absolutely love his draft. I think the combination of Mega Lopunny plus LATLAS plus Scizor plus Tapu Bulu plus Excadrill is going to be a monster for any team to prep for. And I really think Cloud has the skills to actually use this draft tremendously well. I think adding on that Charizard at the end, which he's going to be using really well because he has excellent hazard support with Tentacruel, Excadrill, Scizor, and LATLAS. So Charizard is going to be a huge threat on his team, especially with Z moves. He has Electros and Porygon Z, which really brings his team together with like that nice glue to bring it together. He is, and Lickitung and Golem, I think, were both two really good low point pickups. So I absolutely love Cloud's team, and I think he is going to be able to use it pretty well this season. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Cloud in majors next season.
Yeah, so I guess I should clarify what my criteria are, because that was definitely a good point pointed out by Horus. I should have done that. My criteria is I look at the draft, look at everything. My week 0 is more so predictions about where I think players will be at the end of the season. So I take your draft into consideration. I think how well you can use your draft into consideration. Like, not if you're good or bad, but how well I think you're going to be able to use these Pokemon. And that is how I make my power rankings. So let's hop into 15. I have Carney Hobo. I don't think Carney's a bad player by any means. I think he's a pretty good player, actually. The only thing is, he has what they call a Carney draft, and I don't draft Carney drafts. I don't know how good Carney drafts are. His draft looks fun, definitely, to say the least. But I think his draft relies a lot on gimping players, right? He either needs to get some kind of sticky web success, a player that doesn't prep well for sticky webs, or some kind of a taunt pass, or some kind of like extreme boosting sweep to sweep. And I don't see it beating more than a few players in this season. I think, as I've already said, Minors are strong. I think they'll be able to prep well for his threats, and I don't think, especially after the first 2 weeks, I don't think he's going to be able to. His strategies aren't going to work as well. Where do you have Carney Hobo?
So I have Carney at number 11. So I think Carney has a really solid draft this season. I love his core Ferrothorn plus Gardevoir plus Salamence. I love Blacephalon plus Toxapex plus Ferrothorn. I think those 5 mons are just going to work really, really well together. And then you got Muck, you got Alolan Muck, and you got Necrozma, which would really just bring the team together. The only real qualm that I have with his draft is the fact that he wasted points on Maractus and Volbeat, and potentially Ariados, where he could have brought all this together and used that 1 point remaining to pick up something that would have really been beneficial for his team. Overall, I think it's a really good team, and I really want to see what he can do with it, because I think with the combination of that amazing core plus Muck and Necrozma, he's going to be able to put a lot of work in this season. And I really like the draft, and I think adding on Hitmonlee and Electabuzz to that is just going to end up benefiting him in the long run.
Okay, so at number 14, I have coming in, this might be a surprise, it might not be, I don't know. I have Turkey. So Turkey number 14, I put a Lander I team at number 14, but I was looking at this team, how I really want it to be good, but then I just don't understand some of the picks that go with it. Like, the ideology of why Mega Houndoom is paired with Lando I is aloof on me. I have not figured that one out yet. And there's a bunch of other things, and I don't know. It seems like he has holes in his drafts, right? And I don't know if Lando I is going to be enough for Turk just to power through teams. I don't know if it's that overpowered. I don't know how well he can use it. I don't know if he can really flex on people with it. If he can literally take it and say, I'm the best player in this league, I will 1v6 with Lando I. That's a question mark. I don't think it's going to happen. That is why I have him number 14. Where do you have him, Horus?
I have Turk at number 10. at the beginning, I had his, when I was first looking through, I had his draft pretty low. I had his draft at like number 15. But when actually looking at it, I think he has tons and tons of big threats. Lando I plus Thundy T plus Azumarill plus Mega Houndoom is going to be super, super hard for teams to prep for every single week. Pairing that with Sylvally and Aerodactyl, I really think it's teams are just going to have a really, really rough time prepping for him. And I'd like to believe that he has many more threats than just Lando I. His Thundy T just going to be able to break through teams, especially with Z moves. I love that he gave Aerodactyl Z moves, and I think Mega Houndoom is going to work really, really well under Turk's hands. So I really think Turk's going to do well this season. I think this is one of the better drafts, and I think almost everyone drafted really well this season. I think this is one of those really, really good drafts I've seen.
Okay, so number 13, I have Tone and the main red Colixer. So, as you guys have probably noticed by now, just because you have a good first pick, that's not really influenced my draft too much. So, Tone has the Mew, and Mew is definitely a fantastic pick. Definitely one of the faces of the draft league metagame. And although some other power things like Scolipede and such. But with only 10 Pokemon, so he has considerably less than most people, and his bottom not really being that strong. I don't see Zoroark or Komao without Z moves, or Hariyama like really even being that good. The Decidueye, I think, not going to be able to put in the value they're just going to want from it. And I think Mega Mantrek is so linear that he's going to have a hard time putting in the value from it. And I personally don't think Heatran's good. That's debatable. So I think Tone each week is going to have a tough time in the prep phase trying to get out of his team what he wants from his team. So until like transactions come, I think he might need them. He could definitely prove me wrong. I'm not saying like this is like a fact, but I think Tone's going to struggle in the prep phase. That's why I have him at number 13. Where do you have Tone?
I have Tone at number 8. I really like the combination of having Mew plus Scolipede. I think that's just really, really awesome. Pairing that with the core of having Heatran, Decidueye plus Primarina is just going to be super, super hard to build for. You're adding Zoroark onto that, which is just going to add another element to his team. You have Mamoswine, which just hits like a truck, and I think that's going to be a mod that Tone is going to be using very well. Komodo, I think with the new buffs that it has, is going to be absolutely phenomenal. And even though Mega Mantrek isn't too versatile, it still has it does what it does really, really well. And it can just come in, Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, fire off those hits, and it's really going to facilitate him being able to win late game with Scolipede, Mew, or even possibly like Heatran or Decidueye. And I think Hariyama really patches up that fire weakness that he has, because it now that forces him not to have to run Heatran every single week to combat that fire weakness. Instead, Hariyama is patching that up for him. So if you want to go ahead, Holland, and say your next ranking.
So number 12, I come in with the Connecticut Coballions II. So this might seem a little strange. I'm not really sure what you guys think. But considering that Manaphy has dropped in a point, right? Lanoon's this big meme that everyone knows about. Stuff like this. Everybody knows how to play with trapping. Trapping was so prevalent. I think II has threats, but threats that people have learned how to deal with. I don't think there's going to be many Tail Glow Manaphy sweeps. I think people will over-prep for Manaphy, if anything. And that could be a good thing, but I don't know if he has a team to capitalize on that. I don't think Dugtrio is going to be getting many trapping kills. Dugtrio still might get kills, but I don't think it's going to be on the end of his trapping. I think people will know how to prep against that. Mega Aerodactyl is probably going to be his biggest threat on this team. Ronoheat's a bad mon, period. It's a fact. It's been said before. Just kidding. Not screens from the Lolan Veil, from Ninetales Lola. I think people are going to know how to play around that. You click Brick Break, you click the Fog, you click something, you punish, right? Lanoon's a huge threat, but everybody in the NPL has been talking about it so much. I think people are going to know how to prep for that. So overall, I do like II's team, but I think it's a team with threats that can be well prepped for. People are going to understand how to play around it, and therefore I think he's going to have trouble getting his threats to do what he wants them to do. Where do you have II?
So I actually have the Connecticut Coballions and II at the same spot. I have him at number 12. Here's the main problem that I see with this team. What is this? Like his only fairy resist here is Rotom Heat. Fairy type just completely run through his team, and I really don't see how he's going to be able to deal with them. Because he really needed to pick up a really good steel type here to basically patch up that weakness, and he goes ahead and he drafts the mascot pick of Cobalion, which I have mad respect for taking that mascot pick, but really it's going to end up just hurting him in the end, because he doesn't have a good fairy resist now. Also, bulky steel types, if Dugtrio is gone, is really, really going to be hurting his team. And I'm just really, really worried about both of those in his matchups. Overall, I'd also like to agree with what Hallu has said, that Manaphy is going to be easier to prep for now, Linu and stuff like that, because it's almost like they've been brought so much beforehand that people have started to like really realize how to prep for them really, really well. And I really question how well he's going to be doing in this season with a draft like this. And I really want to see some free agent transactions to fix up that fairy weakness.
Okay, so definitely at number 11, I have Mio and the Oklahoma City Thunderesses. Now, I don't think Mio's going to have a bad season by any means. I just don't think he's going to have a breakout season, especially with this team, right? So he's making them all wild, but besides that, his team slows down a bit. He does have the Tornadoes, but again, his team slows down a bit. And when Make 'em All Wild, while it is thick, it's not as thick as you want it to be. So when stuff like Low Pony Mega can run Adamant, when stuff like Tapu Koko is going to be running Modest, things along those lines, it's really going to show in the calcs and the damages in a game when you're trying to use a fat team like this. I do think he definitely has potential to make plays for something like Keldeo, even the Tornadoes. I don't think his walls are bad by any means with the Gophagus and Umbreon, and I think he could pull some cool tech with the Gliscor and Celebi. And I think Mega Mawile will put in the work that he wants it to, but I think he's going to have an average season with a team like this. And yeah, I just think he's going to have an average season. So where do you have him, Horus?
Okay, so actually I have Mio at number 16. I really don't like his draft this season. I feel he put way too much importance on Mega Mawile. He's really forced Mega Mawile to be brought every single week, and personally, I don't think Mega Mawile is going to be that amazing, especially against teams that have really, really good mods this season that can easily counter Mega Mawile. And really, if Mega Mawile gets shut down any week, I don't see how he goes ahead and wins. He really needs to rely on either Keldeo or Haxorus there, and I think it's going to be very, very easy to prep for him and very, very easy to beat his team. I know Mio is a really good player, and I still think he can definitely put in work with this team. I just think there's much to be desired left in this draft.
Okay, so at number 10, I have John W. So John W. first picked Mega Gallade. I talked in the interview. I said he deserved to be memed on, kind of. I implied it, and I was just kidding, but not really. No, I was just kidding. Yeah, so I do like his team. I think he does have way too many water types, though, but I think Diggersby is pretty solid. I think the Torntea is solid. I think the Mega Gallade is going to be solid. Suicune is solid. Metagross is solid. I think he has the tools needed where he can make a legitimate team without relying on the rain, and I think the range is an added benefit. However, I don't think his threats are that overwhelming. That's why I have him at number 10, and I don't know how well he's going to be able to use these threats. That's like another question mark. Where do you have John W.?
So I have John W. at number 15. I really question how he's going to be able to deal with some ghost types, because I think they just hit his team so hard, but there's only reliable check really being Drapion. Once Drapion is taken care of, and I think there's also a big chance that Drapion isn't brought a lot of weeks, he's really not going to have too many checks to really deal with those ghost types. And I also feel like he drafted way too many water types. You're seeing Pelipper, Kabutops, Golduck, and Suicune here. I really don't see the need for Suicune and Golduck. Golduck, I understand because it's maybe like 1 point, but Suicune could easily be dropped and use those 3 remaining points to pick up a really powerful 15-pointer. Because I think one of the problems with this team, and this is one of the problems that I also see with Mio's team, is that he doesn't have enough like super hard-hitting mons that can just come in every week and be like a nuke. And especially with the point draft system, you're seeing that a lot of people are getting huge threats, so you need to have those mons that are like nukes. And really, his best mon for that is Mega Gallade, and once Mega Gallade is shut down, I question how well he's going to be able to do with this draft.
Okay, so number 9, I put Yuzi. So number 9 means I think he's barely going to miss playoffs, right? I believe it's top 8 make playoffs. So at number 9, I think Yuzi's going to barely make playoffs. I actually do like Yuzi's team a lot, right? With the Current Black, the Thunderous, the Reuniclus, the Sand Plug, the Volcanion, just everything about his team, I do really like it. However, I think this is going to be like a 5-5 season, maybe a 4-6 season for Uzi. I don't think this is going to be the breakout season that he wants. I definitely think that he will find it easy to prep and then easy to play, but I don't know if he'll be able to convert his prep into the wins. Like, I don't know if he's going to have the technical stuff that he needs with this like a unique style. Like, this is a throwback to Gen 5 in like a lot of ways. This is and I don't know if he's played Gen 5. I don't know if he can play Gen 5. It's a completely different style. It's 100% different. I don't know if he can play it. Where do you have Uzi?
So I have him at number 5. I think this is easily one of the really, really amazing drafts here. We're seeing Kyurem Black and Thundy Eyes the first 2 picks, which are amazing nukes that can come in and just do a lot every single week. You got Mega Steelix, which Wolfie VGC recently showed can just put in tons and tons of work. Then we're seeing that he was able to pick up Tyranitar later and pair that with Stoutland, which is just going to be so amazing. And just getting Tyranitar that late was an amazing pickup. He also has Klefki and Reuniclus, which are both going to be really, really nice to support his team, and Reuniclus can come in almost every week and be a huge threat. Delmize is a nice support mon for his team too. Volcanion grabbing that late was also really nice, and I think he's going to use that well. I would have liked to see Archeops become get Z moves, but I'm still okay with that. I think Palossand is really underrated, and I think it's going to be used very, very well by him. Wigglytuff I question a bit, but if you do have 1 point left over, it does make sense to pick up another mon. So I really, really like his draft, and I'm expecting big things from Woozy this season.
Okay, so at number 8, I have Keegan. I think Keegan will just secure a playoff spot, maybe with a 5-5, 6-4 record. I do really like his Zygarde 50 Mega Pinsir core. That is such a good wall-breaking core. It applies so much pressure. They really beat each other up nicely. I think Entei is one of the more underrated mons in the format. I don't think you can sleep on Vintei at all. I think it's a great lure. Fortunately for me, it hasn't been working that well because it is a little burn reliant. Like with the Lava Plume burn, but I think with the Skarmory, the Gengar, the Seismitoad, the Florges, and the Hitmontop, it's very splashable. Even the Diancie, it's very splashable, and he has enough defensive mons to reliably check and counter most of what he's going to want to, and then be able to apply a bunch of offensive pressure with the Entei, Mega Pinsir, Zygarde 50. So I do think he'll pick up wins this season. Where do you have Keegan, Horus?
So I have Keegan at number 14. I really want to see a Walrein check on this team. I really don't think there's anything here that can really take a hit from a well-trained Walrein. But in all seriousness, I really don't think Zygarde 50 is that great on this draft. Mega Pinsir also I feel is much to be desired from that. I just really don't see why he picked up Yanmega too, when he already has Mega Pinsir, which already has a bug flying typing. Entei, I question how well he's going to be able to use that. Diancie, I really don't see the need for picking up that when he already had Florges and he already had Skarmory to set up all those rocks. That was really just 7 points that were wasted. Hitmontop, in my opinion, is a very bad mon in draft format. I really don't like that he picked that up. Alolan Raichu was fine. I think he's going to be able to use that pretty well. I still think he can definitely make a playoff run based off his playing status and based off just how well he can actually play, but I think this draft really puts him behind the 8-ball to start off because I don't think Zygarde, this is going to be a very unpopular opinion, but I don't think Zygarde 50 is that amazing in draft format, and I think it's going to be easily countered by a lot of teams, but I think that's really going to be proven this season, and I also question how Mega Pinsir is going to be used this season, so I can't wait to see how Keegan uses it, but I think he's really starting behind the 8-ball.
Okay, well, you threw out this question since you want to answer them. I did answer them. I did answer them. So now you know Horus. All right, anyway, number 7, I put up Jake. I don't think this is one of the best teams Jake's ever drafted, but I think it's solid enough to get the job done. I do think he'll make playoffs. I don't think he'll be I don't think he'll be a conference leader or anything, but I do think he'll make playoffs. The Jirachi Togekiss is an annoying core that he has. I think his Fairy Dragon Steel, though, is pretty solid. I hope he can use his last one Quillfish Swap because I think how well he can use some of these middle threats is really going to be defining for Jake this season. And I know he's been pretty good with middle threats before and even some low tier threats. So I hope he can replicate that success and get where he needs to be. Where do you have Jake, Horus?
Okay, so I have Jake at number 3. I really, really like his draft. I think pairing Jirachi plus Garchomp plus Togekiss is just going to be nasty. Then you have Snorlax, which I think is a mon that's really, really rising up in viability in the format, and people are really starting to see how good that is. I think he's going to use Salazzle and Quillfish very, very well. Passimian, check out Uzi's new video where he talks about how Passimian's the best underrated mon in the format, which I completely agree with. Ponyard was a great 1-point pickup. I think it's also going to be putting in a lot of work this season. I think people are really going to be underestimating it, and when it comes in, it's going to be able to do a lot of work. Shaman patches up some weaknesses that we're seeing beforehand, and again, Thick Fat from Snorlax is just really nice. Pairing in that Mega Gyarados at the very end, which allows the team to have a really good setup sweeper, is really pivotal, and then adding Rotom for just getting that good Electric type on the team is really, really solid, and I definitely think Jake is going to make a deep playoff run this season. I can easily see him in Majors next season with this draft.
Okay, so number 6, I have Turbo and the Phoenix Midnights. I am a little biased because he is my Majors Power Rankings person. He does play in the CPL with him, and I do mock him quite often, especially for minors. So that being said, I do think he's really motivated to be good this season, and I do think he has a team that can do that. I think Superior is a huge threat. I know some people, it's like debatable whether how big of a threat it is. I'm personally a Superior advocate. I think Arcanine is puts a lot of pressure on the enemy prep. Megaladios is Megaladios. Crocodile, I think he overvalued Crocodile more than I value Crocodile, but I think the Raikou and the Nihilego and the Tapu Fini, and most of his team is just very splashable. He has a lot of options week to week. I think he's going to play well, he's going to prep well, and that is why I have him coming in at number 6. Where do you have him?
So I have Turbo coming in at number 4. I really, really like his team. Megalodius plus Crocodile plus Arcanine plus Superior plus Raikou plus Nihilego plus Tapu Fini. It's just a plethora of threats on his team. Adding on to that Scyther and Hitmonchan, which I think are 2 phenomenal Z users, which he's really going to showcase this season. Walrein, as I've mentioned before, is going to be really nice. Maybe I was kind of mentioning it as a joke before, but I really do think he's going to be able to use it well. Registeel is the only mod on this team that I find slightly questionable. But then again, I think it's going to really patch up some defensive weaknesses that we're seeing right now. I think Arcanine plus Superior plus Tapu Fini is just going to be an absolutely amazing core. And I stand on the side again that Superior is really, really good, and I can't wait to see him use it. And I think LATLAS is just going to be putting in tons and tons of work this season. And I would be surprised not to see Turbo in playoffs.
Okay, so at number 5, I have E. Owen. So E. Owen has a pretty decent draft. I wouldn't say he's bad. I think he's a good player. I think he has a lot of comfort picks, and I think he'll be able to use them well. The Mega Diancie, Victini, Tangrowth, Alomola, like all these stuff, I think he'll be able to use well. He'll be able to use comfortably. I think he has tools he needs to make a solid prep, make a solid run, and just perform well this season. That's just, I think, just overall he's going to have a good season. What do you think, Horus?
So I actually have Owen at number 13. I really don't. I think the problem with this draft is that he drafted way too many things that are like the classic draft mons. And I think over time, especially with the competition that we're seeing in this draft, people have learned easily how to prep for these guys. And I think this is the same problem that we're seeing with the Connecticut COBALIONS. I really think Victini is going to be easily countered by almost all teams. I really don't think Hoopa Unbound is going to be that great this season with its really bad speed. I generally don't think Hoopa is that amazing of a mon. And I think teams are also going to be prepping really, really hard for Mega Diancie now. And I don't think it's going to be able to put in that much work itself. I also think he didn't get too many, he took Mega Diancie, Victini, and Hoopa Unbound as his big threats. But if we're looking at other teams, they have more threats than that, and they have threats that are not as easily countered. And I really doubt how well he's actually going to be doing this season with a team like that. And I really don't understand the Hippowdon pick that late. Skuntank, I also don't really like too much on this team. I don't like Vandebuzz too much on this team, and really, I'm not that much of a fan with this team. But then again, he is a really good player, so I still expect him to make a decent run. But I really don't know if he'll make playoffs or not.
Okay, so at number 4, I have Techno. I do like Techno's team. I like the other ones a little bit. Some of the other ones a little bit better. I do think it's good. I do think he has what it takes to make playoffs. I think his team has what it takes to make playoffs. Overall, there's really no defining weaknesses. It's just that his lower tier mons aren't my favorite picks for lower tier mons. That's basically where the difference lied. I don't think he's top heavy. I'm just not the biggest fan of his lower tier mons. Buzzwole is not my favorite. Steelix isn't my favorite. Cragnol's not my favorite. Incineroar's not my favorite. They're really not mons I'd pick up, even though they're mons I respect and I would prep for if I played against them. But just not my style. That's why I'm coming at number 4. What about you, Horus?
Okay, so I got Techno at number 9. I really, really like his draft. I think Mega Kang plus Zapdos plus Greninja plus Sylveon is just going to be super, super scary. Adding a Moongus into a defensive core of Zapdos is also going to be really nice. I think Steelix and Cryogonal are both really good low point pickups, and no one should sleep on Incineroar. Incineroar is a monster, and I really think he's going to put in a lot of work for that this season. I question the Jellicent pick. I don't know how well that's going to work on his team. I really like how he picked up Buzzwole late, and overall, I think it's a really strong draft. There were people who I feel were just slightly better than him with their draft because they were able to get more threats that can show up every single week and punch more holes. Where I feel he is more of a team where there's not as many nukes and not as many super threats, which might hold him back in the season in which tons of people have huge threats. So I think Techno is a shoo-in for playoffs, and I really think he can make it far this season.
Okay, so number 3, this draft might be my favorite draft, not gonna lie, even though I have a number 3. The only thing that would definitely make my favorite draft is if you had Starmie on here. I still stand by the fact that Mega Charizard X Starmie is way better than Mega Charizard X Rotom Wash. Starmie is like my favorite removal of all time. It is so reliable. There's never been a situation where I couldn't spin more Starmie. So, yeah. Besides that, the Celesteela Mega Charizard, he just has so many threats all around, up and down this draft. I think he'll be able to use it well. I don't know if he is the most talented player in minors. I do think he has one of the best drafts. That's why I do have him as top 3. I think he has potential to push for number 1, but I don't know if he's quite there yet. Where do you have him, Horus?
So I have Hiker at number 6. I'm absolutely in love with his draft. I really see the remnants of Dallas's team from Season 6, where he got Magearna plus Mega Charizard X plus Rotom Wash, and I feel Hiker is really doing the same thing, just replacing Magearna with Celesteela, and I think that's just going to be able to put in tons of work. Adding in Uxie and Persian with that, and putting Terrakion as a huge threat is going to be a big problem for teams. I like Pilotmon on this team too, and I think Whimsicott provides the needed support. So I think Hiker can shoe in for playoffs. I think can easily make a run to majors.
So at number 2, I have Lord Zedin. I think Lord Zeddin's a great player, to be honest. I think he's definitely could make competition with majors, and I definitely think he has the draft to do so. So his draft at first glance looks a bit awkward, but he does have the reliable lenders too. He does have the reliable star me. He has a weak final Clefable, which I think he's going to be able to pressure well with. He has a Roserade, not my favorite, but again, he's an offensive monster, and it's really annoying to prep for. I think he'll be able to use that really well. He has the reliable defensive monster, Druddigon Miltank, and overall, I just think he has a ton of pressure, and I don't think Mega Scizor can be slept on. I think a very standard team, like a standard, like, to be honest, like a standard Gen 6 team. But I think he'll be able to use it well. I think it'll treat him well. I think it'll go far. Where do you have it, Horus?
Okay, so I got Xenon at number 2 also. I really love his draft. I think Lando T plus Weavile plus Clefable plus Mega Scizor is just a huge threat. I think any one of those can put in huge work any season. I know he really loves hazard stacking, so I like the fact that he got Roserade, Druddigon, and Miltank, which he can set up hazards, and then Lantern and Mienshao can come in and just Volt Turn and bring in his big threats and allow them to win late game. So I think those are huge things. I think Gothorita is going to prove itself to be very, very viable. I know there's been times before where Gothorita came in a Ferrothorn with Shadow Tag and just started setting up, and it got to +6/+6 and then swept. And with the playing style that Zeddin has, I can really see him bringing in Gothorita and putting in tons and tons of work with that. And I really think this was the absolute perfect draft for his playstyle, with stacking hazards and then coming through and just winning with like Lando T, Weavile, Clefable, or Mega Scizor. And I can't wait to see what he does. And I'm going to say it right now, I think he's going to make majors next season. I think he's definitely going to make majors.
Okay, so at number 1, I have Illusion. Illusion has a really, really, really nice draft. In another league, I have the Coco, Hydreigon, and Apollyon on the same team. I think they really mesh well together. They're really good. They're fantastic picks in of itself. The Infernape is fantastic. The Mega Heracross is fantastic. Slowborg, Ligoross, Defensive Core, Porygon 2 is fantastic. Overall, I think he has so many tools, so much versatility, and so much offensive pressure. I think prep's going to be easy for him and hard for his opponent, and I think he'll be able to execute the team well. Where do you think of Illusion, Horus?
Okay, so I have Illusion at number 7. I really like the Tapu Koko and Infernape first 2 picks. Then getting Hydreigon to patch up that ground weakness. We see later in the draft that he gets a little bit more expansive with that ground weakness. I like the Vileplume pickup. I think Pikachu is going to be doing a lot in electric terrain. One problem I have, I really don't think you should have picked up Mega Heracross. Mega Scizor was still there at that point. I think you should have picked up Mega Scizor instead and not drafted Empoleon. And I think that would have been really the best option for him there. Because I really don't like Empoleon too much on this draft. I do like Hydreigon here. I think Hydreigon and Staraptor paired together is going to be really, really good. This looks a lot like Old Man's Tups team from Season 7 of the GBA. I mean, we all know how that turned out. So, I don't know. I think he can use it well, but I think it's a very... I could see him going to the finals. I could see him also not making playoffs. I think it's a very hit-or-miss team.
Okay, so that should be all 16 coaches. Let's quickly do a recap of who we think is going to make playoffs. So for me, it's Illusion, Lord Zeddin, Hypertoad, Techno, Yoan, Insturbo, Jake, and Keegan. For you, Horus?
I think some people... I didn't rank mine with, like, 1 to 8 is who I think would make playoffs, but I think some teams that are some big threats, I think Mio can still make it with his subpar draft. I think Turk is going to be a big threat. Techno will be a big threat. Illusion is definitely a big threat for that. Hiker Toad, I think, is probably a shoe-in. I think Uzi can really make a good run this season. Turbo is probably a shoe-in. Jake is going to be really, really well. Zeddin, I said, I think he's going to make the majors. And Cloud is going to be really interesting. I think he's a really, really good draft, but I don't know if he can really make that work in the actual season. But I really want to see where Cloud ends up at the end of the season.
All right, do you have any last words?
No. We can take it home now.
Alright, cool. So, I'm HalluNASTY, joined by Horus, and we have just delivered the NPL Minors Season 5 Week 0 Power Rankings. I'm super hyped for the season. I hope you guys are too. Make sure you check out all our coaches' uploads, our Minors pick'ems, and continue to check out Power Rankings. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Later.